Okay, so then when you're ready to put your projector inside the dome, you can slide it right under the side of the dome, making it really easy. Remember, you got to plug in your projector. That's really important. So once we're plugged in, I like to turn some lights on so we don't go into a dark space. So we just go ahead and turn our lights on, turn our side lamps up nice and bright. That way we can see when we go inside. Now when you go and slide this through, you need to be really careful because you don't want to hurt any of this projector. So when we pick up the side, make sure you get it nice and high and slide it through. All right, so once your projector's inside, you can crawl in right after it, and then you can set up for your Starlab show. Wow, that was easy. It's not a bad idea to go ahead and make sure that you get your dome positioned once you're inside so that you keep things fully expanded. Once you're inside, you can go ahead and set up your projector, and we like to put it on this box. So let me show you how that works. You can see this cord is a really nice length right here, and this allows you to be able to bring that all the way in from outside, but you don't want too much inside. We'll position that afterwards so that we don't have so much that it's a tripping hazard. Let's take a look at how this is positioned. I like to set it up on its side and then open the door to get a look at that. And then once the door is open, I have a nice surface to put my projector on. And I like to face the door. That way, if there's a problem with someone who needs to get out for an emergency reason, a lot of young children are afraid of the dark, I come over here, I make sure that if someone comes in, I can place them near the door if I have someone who's anxious or if someone who needs to leave early for some reason. That way they cause the minimum amount of disturbance, and we make sure that people get out if they're frightened. Let's take a look at this positioning now. And this is really important because you want to have your Starlab projector positioned so it's in the center of the dome. So I'd use a flashlight to do that, and I just hold it above this projection bulb right here. And I just point it directly above, and I can see that this is exactly in the center of the dome. So it's not critical to be exactly dead on, but you want it to be as close as possible because that gives you the most accurate star field you can have. And then you're ready to start your program as soon as you have everybody inside. All right, well, once you're set up inside, there's some really important things you need to remember. And one is to set up your box so that you have everything right where you need it. Remember, you're working in the dark, and it's great to be able to not have to fumble for things and know what you're doing. A couple of flashlights really help. We use these self-winding ones, and students love to help wind those before we get going. So it's a lot of fun to be able to have something students can do while they're getting ready to go inside. All right, so a flashlight is a wonderful thing. You can see here I have our box all set up with our planets and our moon cylinders, our moon pieces. We have our, all of our spare pieces like the fuses and the bulbs that we need just in case we have something go wrong while we're in here and we need to fix something. I use this little shelf right here to use our pointer. That's a great thing to be able to do. So if you need to grab your pointer, you know where it is at all times. So that's something I really think is important. And then you might want to work from notes as well. So if you have some notes you need, you can do this, and you can cover your flashlight with red, which really helps inside a dark space. As far as your projection cylinders, you want to keep them right where you can reach them. Now, if you only have two you're working with, these two right here, that's perfect for them. If you need to have a third, you can always put it down inside here. So that's the third. Remember, you never want them out here where someone might step on those. That could be a big issue, and you can see those crushed cylinders that we have in this video if you'd like to see those as well. So that's a problem. We want to make sure we always have everything contained right here so students don't trip over those. Remember, when you put your cylinders in and out, like we said, always make sure that the hole is facing out so you can grab them, and you don't have to try to grab this slick other surface right here. Very important to remember as well. Now, it's really important to remember when students come in, this is a very dark space, and even though we have some light in here, it's not nearly as bright as what the gym might be or another room. So we have to think about what our side lamps look like. I like to keep our side lamps, which are capable of swiveling, one facing out toward the door to see so people can see where they're coming, and then the other facing up toward the top of the dome to bounce some light around. That way people have a good sense of where they're going, because it can be very disorienting. The other thing is you want to make sure a couple of flashlights are in here so you can guide people around as they move through the dome. Now, when you have your students come up to the dome, you want to make sure they understand the rules, because there are some really important things inside, some really delicate things inside, so we can't just walk into the dome any way we want to. I like to have my students sit right out in front of the dome and get a good sense of exactly what kind of experience they're in for. I know a lot of you teachers like to prep your students ahead of time, and that's a great thing to do in the classroom. But we need a little more than that. We need to make sure that when they see it, they don't get too excited. I've heard a lot of things, oh, it's a bounce castle, or it's a bounce house, and we know it's not that. And to speak from experience, we've seen the results of that, and that's not pretty. So let's make sure we understand what people need to know before they go in through this tunnel. One thing for sure is that when they enter this, they're going to hear some different things. Because of this bubble shape, they're going to hear sound bounce around. And because sound can bounce from one side all the way to the other, even a whisper can be very loud and very distracting. So they have to understand that voices are very important and that we don't talk when the presenter is talking. Another piece of this is that when we go through, we have to be really calm and quiet. It's very easy to get excited when we get in here. We need to move calmly and quietly. You can either crouch or you can crawl through this tube. Whether you have your shoes on or off, that's really up to you. We don't ask shoes to be taken off, but if you want to do that, that's fine. It takes a little bit of extra time, but it might be worth it to you. Now, when they get into the end of the tunnel, we ask the students to take a left-hand turn and go around the inside edge, right along that black stripe that's in there. Very important for students to remember that, because we try to keep them from going through the middle. That's where the projector is. And if we walk into the projector and knock that over, the show's over and we really don't have a show for quite some time. We have to think about that. The only other thing really that's important is that this is a flexible dome. Because it is flexible, very easy if you have a pen or a pencil in your pocket, you could poke a hole in the dome. So we ask students not to lean against the side and to remove anything that might be sharp from their pockets. Other than that, we like to do a quick reminder, calm and quiet, and let's get in that dome and have a really great experience. Remember, it's dark. It'll take a little while for our eyes to adjust, so we're going to ask you to just move slowly. That's it, and after that, you should have a really great time.